Hey everybody, this is Kelsey Dion from the Arcane Library, and I'm here today with the first official episode of the SoloDark campaign where I am running ShadowDark RPG using the brand new SoloDark rules right here. Okay, so just to recap from our last session, session 0, since it happened a while ago, we have our two characters, Lienna, a human witch, and we have Torson, who is a dwarf priest of Ord. And they both find themselves in an abandoned keep far out into the wilderness here. And they're gathered around a campfire talking about what their plans are, because they're both coming together to try to stop some sort of illness that's been plaguing society. And I've had some time to think about what that illness might be and why it might have brought a witch of Shun the Vile and a priest of Ord, the god of magic, together. And so I think we can conclude, because these two characters have a common cause, that there's something wrong with magic in the world. So we're going to be pursuing that as our issue and our mission in this series, and we'll see what Torson and Lienna can do about it. So first of all, for ShadowDark and for SoloDark in particular, we're going to be using our d20s a lot, and these are going to be the dice we use to ask the oracle questions. The oracle tells us yes or no answers to our questions, and sometimes throws a curveball in our way as well. So we're going to first start off by asking the oracle, does anything happen to Torson and Lienna while they're sitting here talking? I'm going to open up to the oracle page in SoloDark. This is our spread talking about the oracle, and it's pretty simple. We're going to determine what the odds are of something happening to Lienna and Torson. We have three options here. We have unlikely, or even impossible. We have normal odds, which is a 50-50 shot, or we have likely/certain. I think because Lienna and Torson are in the middle of the wilderness in an abandoned keep, there's probably about a 50-50 shot of something happening to them, because they're out in the wilds, there could be wandering monsters or creatures, but they're not in civilization, so that there's a ton of people around them. I'm going to take 1d20 because we have a 50-50 shot here, and I'm going to roll it. And if we get a 11 or higher, the answer is going to be yes. And if we get a 10, it's going to be a strange result, a twist, and we'll roll a prompt to see what that is. If we get a 9 or lower, it's going to be a no. So let's see what happens. So we rolled a 7, which is a no, but. So that means that there's some kind of caveat to the no. And I think what that means is, no, they don't have anything necessarily interrupt them, but there is something listening in on them. And now I want to figure out what is the nature of this thing listening in on them. And to do that, I'm probably going to turn to our prompts in SoloDark, which give us some word pairings that help us come up with the nature of something. This is our prompts table, and you can see for each prompt we're going to roll a verb and a noun pairing. So that means we're going to need 2d100. Here we go. So the combination I got is punish nature. That isn't good. That sounds like something unnatural, like some kind of aberration, something that wants to harm nature. When we're talking about something unnatural, I think that a dwarf and a human are likely to be its enemy, but why don't we ask the oracle? Because this is likely, I'm going to roll 2d20. I'm actually rolling with advantage, which means I roll twice and I take the higher result. So our question is whatever's watching them an enemy? The higher result is a 14, and it's not an odd number, so there's no but attached to that, but it's just a flat yes. Whatever is watching them is an enemy to them. So Lienna and Torson are around the campfire talking, and Torson is telling Lienna about how he came to be on the mission he's on. I had a vision from the god Ord. He sent me a strange dream that I should follow a path out into the wilderness, and that I should accept all allies who presented themselves to me. Lienna, in the meanwhile, is staring into the fire, and she speaks as if from a distance, and as she speaks, she lifts her hand out of her red cloak's pocket, and cupped in it is a tiny little gray mouse that looks up at her expectantly, and she pets its head while she tells Torson a little bit about why she came to be on this journey as well. She says, well, I know that we crossed paths a few days ago, and we've been traveling together since then, but no god sent me. I had a vision from looking into the fire and reading the bones and staring at the stars, and it simply told me to go find an ally. I think I've done that, found you. I see, though, that there are more visions to come, and her eyes kind of unfocus as they look into the fire. And unbeknownst to them, something is watching from the dark corner of the ruined castle keep where they sit, staring into the campfire. I have to ask the oracle, what is the nature of this thing as far as how powerful it is? Is it powerful? And I'm gonna put that at 50-50 odds because I just don't know. No, it's not powerful. It's some kind of weak but unnatural creature that's watching them. And I think we need to roll to determine whether or not they become aware of this creature. And if not, we'll have to see what happens from there. I'm gonna roll a wisdom check from Torson and one from Lienna. So Torson will be the black die with the green. He has +3 on this, and Lienna has +1. I'm gonna put this at a DC 15 because whatever this unpowerful aberrant creature is, it seems like it's pretty good at hiding itself. They actually both notice it, given their bonuses. So as they continue on with a little bit of small talk and they're breaking rations up and speaking, Lienna kind of gestures with her eyes off to the side, and Torson very astutely notices this and subtly nods because he is also aware of a strange smell rolling across the camp. It's the smell of rot and fungus. All right, a weak but unnatural creature it is, and I had the perfect idea come to mind of what it could be given its nature, and that is a strangler, a gray, ropey-limbed creature with suckers on the ends of its forelimbs, and it's the kind of creature that likes to sneak up on people and leap out and try to strangle them to death. So thankfully it hasn't gotten surprise on our heroes, but I believe there is a confrontation brewing here. Does it realize it's been spotted? I'm going to have it make a wisdom check of its own, and we'll put it at DC 15 because Torson and Lienna are doing a pretty good job sort of pantomiming out and acting as if things were normal. So this creature gets a +0 bonus, DC 15, to see if it realizes it's been spotted. It does. Flat roll, it got it. It's gonna have to decide if it's going to attack or not. And I think because it's been stalking Lienna and Torson for some time, and it's probably pretty hungry given that we're out in the abandoned wilderness where there isn't much to hunt and eat, I think it's going to press its attack. So we're going to have to roll for initiative. There's no surprise because both of them are aware of each other. Now there's something worth pointing out in SoloDark. Normally, we would be rolling for initiative and then staying in initiative order in combat, but because I'm just one player and I'm the GM, we're going to introduce a little bit of interest to this, and we're going to be using both group initiative, where everybody on my team acts on my turn and all of the monsters act on their turn, and then also we're using chaos mode from the core rules, which is we re-roll initiative at the start of every round, and that keeps things from getting a little bit too rote and predictable. I think this ghoul can do to work pretty well for that. This ghoul guy jumps up out of hiding right on top of the wall and leaps toward them. I'm gonna have the green die be our heroes and the yellow die be the enemy. Let's see who goes first. Oh yeah, we get initiative. So our heroes are going to jump forward. Torson pulls out his warhammer and Lienna leaps back, preparing to cast a spell at this thing. I'm gonna have her go first. She's going to cast Eye Bite on it. 19, she hits. 2 damage to this thing, and it suddenly can't see her. Whoop, she disappears as if suddenly disappearing from time and space. All right, now Torson can't reach this thing because it's up on the walls, so he's gonna cast Shield of Faith on himself. He gets a +3 on this. Oh no, he rolls a natural 1. That means that he loses the spell and he can't recover it until he performs penance to his god. So he's done something to anger Ord, the god of magic. And I think we're going to have to incorporate what's happening in the world into this terrible roll for Torson. So we know there is some kind of weird illness and that magic is the crux of it. I think magic is starting to fade from the world a bit here. And because Torson rolled a natural 1, I'm going to permanently increase the spellcasting DC of Shield of Faith for him by 1 point. So instead of rolling an 11 to cast it, he needs to treat it as a tier 2 spell. He needs to roll a 12. Forever until we can solve whatever issue is going on with magic in the world. All right, now it's this thing's turn. It's gonna leap down off the walls and scuttle towards Torson because Torson is the only one it can see right now, thanks to Lienna having cast Eye Bite successfully on it. This thing gets 2 claw attacks at +2, and Torson's armor class is currently at 13. Ooh, it hit 1 time. For only 1 damage, thankfully. So that brings Torson down from a healthy 7 to 6 hit points. All right, we're gonna re-roll initiative because we're in chaos mode, top of the order here. Oh, it looks like we just barely beat it because I believe we get +2 to our initiative roll, and it also gets +2, so we just beat it by 1 point since we're the black on green dice. All right, I'm looking up Lienna's spells. She has one called Hypnotize, where one creature of level 3 or less that she can see is rendered stupefied. I think she's going to try to cast it on this creature, gauging its strength. Let's see here. She gets plus 14. She's trying to hit an 11. Oh, she succeeds, and this is a focus spell, so as long as she can continue to succeed at this roll each round, it's going to continue. So suddenly this creature's eyes just glaze over, and its jaw goes slack, and its long arms just sink and droop to the ground where its fingers scrape along the earth. Now, something that would break this creature's line of sight to Lienna would allow it a charisma check to try to break free of this spell. It's currently hypnotized, so I'm going to have Torson jump forward with his warhammer. He's going to strike at this creature, and I'm going to give him advantage because it is completely rendered stupefied right now. He gets plus 4 on this and does a d10 damage, so here we go. Even with advantage, he missed, so he just clonks into the dirt beside this thing, his arms shaking as he hits the ground. All right, we're going to reroll initiative. We're the green on black die. This thing gets the initiative, but it's still under the effects of Lienna's spell. It's actually kind of good that we lost initiative in this case because then it couldn't act. So now it's our turn. I'm going to have Lienna roll to focus on her spell. She gets plus 4 on this, and she's looking for an 11. She succeeds, so she continues to weave strange mental images and strange fairy magic to keep this creature hypnotized and stupefied. Now, Lienna can cast another non-focus spell, but I don't actually want her to cast Eye Bite because that causes her to disappear from this thing's vision, and I think that would cause the hypnotize spell to fail because she would no longer be in its sight. I don't think Fog's a good choice because that's a focus spell, and she has Willow Man, but I don't think that would work on a creature of this level. So she is going to whip out a dagger and throw it at this thing. She gets plus 2. 12? What is its armor class? Its armor class is 12, so she actually manages to hit it, dealing 2 damage to it. And now we're gonna have Torson repeat his effort here with his warhammer. Let's see if he can knock this thing out. That's gonna hit it, and he does 5 damage to this thing. That knocks it pretty low, but it actually isn't finished yet. We're gonna roll for initiative. I really hope this thing doesn't break out of its hypnosis. We win the initiative. I'm gonna have Lienna focus on her spell. Oh no, the focus ends on it. She can't maintain the spell. She doesn't lose it because she didn't fail a spellcasting check. She just failed a focus check. Her magic unweaves itself, and this thing shakes its head and snaps to attention, realizing what's going on. Torson's gonna take a shot at it. He doesn't have advantage anymore because it is not hypnotized. Oh, he manages to hit it, but only 1 damage. It is its turn. It is below half its hit points, so I'm actually going to have it make a morale check. This is a wisdom check. It's going to be DC 15, and this is to see if it decides to flee. It gets plus 0 on this. It fails, so it loses control over its decision-making and succumbs to fear, and it runs, darts off into the darkness, slithering away. Torson and Lienna are left, shocked and a little bit breathless, but mostly uninjured. Torson slumps down and, I've never seen something like that in my life. What a horrifying creature. Lienna says, yes, I've never seen something like that out in the wilds either. To see something so strange and unnatural lurking around just puts me ill at ease. Torson nods. Well, we better take turns on watch tonight just in case. And our heroes are going to settle in for the evening. I'm going to roll 2 random encounter checks overnight, 1 for each person's turn on watch. And they're in an unsafe area, so on a 1, we're going to have a random encounter occur. No random encounters this time. They wake up in the morning to a campfire guttering low, and they share a quick breakfast from their rations. They're each down to 1 ration now, but thankfully, Torson has recovered from his injuries overnight, and he's backed up to 7 hit points. But he looks at Lienna and says, something strange has happened. My god has abandoned me with the magic that I tried to cast yesterday. It isn't there. I can't even seem to recall the words to ask the god for the effect that it would have granted me. Lienna frowns and says, this is like what happened to the witch in my village who taught me. She tried to cast a spell and it went awry, and rather than be able to recover the magic, she lost it forever. And this kind of thing has been growing in frequency lately, and I think it really has something to do with what your god sent you after and what I'm out here to pursue from the visions I'm seeing in the fire. Torson nods. Something isn't right. I know we need to head north. I have a vague idea of where we're going. I'll follow that and we'll see what we come upon. So Torson and Lienna strike north into a forest that's growing more dense around them as they travel. Torson is guided by some sort of instinct, some mission or vision that his god gave him, and Lienna follows, understanding from her own visions that this is what she's meant to be doing. As Lienna walks, she reaches her hand into her pocket and she lifts out a tiny mouse. She pets the mouse and whispers to it, and it seems to whisper back. And Torson glances out of the corner of his eye but doesn't say anything, but he does find it curious that this witch who he met a few days ago and who has decided to join him in his journeys talks to animals. I want to ask the Oracle, Torson knows where he's going, but are they close to their destination? I don't really know, so I think this is going to be a 50-50, even chance. 2, no, they're not close to their destination. They have a way to travel before they get there, but they do know where they're going based on Torson's instincts. Now I want to figure out what the nature is of the thing that they're looking for. So I'm going to turn to the prompts table, I'm going to roll up a prompt, and we'll see if that gives us some ideas. 75 and 94, so that gives us question luck. Question luck. Now I think from a meta game master perspective, that makes me think that they're gonna know they get to what they're looking for when they ask themselves, why me? Why does it have to be us who had this fate? So I think whatever it is they're looking for is going to be overtly bad. And I think in fact it's going to have to be a location, a dungeon of some sort, because if it's something that bad, it's going to be dangerous. So I want to use one other table in the SoloDark rules. So I want to use the dungeon name generator here to come up with some kind of location that is the destination Lienna and Torson are headed toward, that they're going to know when they see. Got Forge of the Crystalline Ancestor. Forge of the Crystalline Ancestor. So that's where they're headed. But we know they have a distance to travel before they get there. So next time I'm going to play out their travel to their destination. And for the overland travel, we're going to be using the hex crawling rules that I'm developing for Curse Scroll 4, but that I have made into a public document that you can use and try out for yourself. I will link that down below. And we'll see how they do on their journey. And we'll find out what happens as they approach the Forge of the Crystalline Ancestor. So I'll see you guys on the next one. And until then, happy gaming. Bye.